Hello everybody. Let me start by thanking you for all the comments and messages. You have all been great and I really appreciate the community we're building. Moreover, this video and the series it's starting is a response to some of the messages that you sent me this past month. Let me explain. As you might have concluded, I love photobooks and everything about them, from their conceptualization to their narratives and their production. I have bought photobooks, books about photobooks, and I have made a photobook of my own. As a result, I have passed through some experiences which are the answer to the questions you've placed, such as where I buy my books and some queries regarding publishing and printing options. With this in mind, I decided to do a series on the access, publishing, purchasing and production of photobooks. In this video, the first of this series, I will describe my purchasing practices, where I usually go, how I organize myself, what to consider when buying from outside your country or trading area, best carrier experience, and some tips to get the best deals out there. As you can imagine, what you'll see today is based solely on my experience to this day, which means that when you watch this video, some things might have changed. But more importantly, this is based only on what I know, so it would be great if you could leave in the comments some suggestions and tips of yours. The more we know, the better we buy. Alright, let's start easy and close to home. Whenever I go shopping or for a walk, I visit the bookshops of the surrounding area, big or small, specialized or not. For instance, close to where I live there is a mall with one of the big Portuguese bookstore chains, and at least once a week I try to pay them a visit and check out their photography section and see if they received anything new. Big chains are usually good to buy books from the big art publishers such as Taschen or Phaden. You'll also find excellent books from artists of that country or related to that country, and you might also find works which they keep on kind of randomly restocking. For instance, I bought Candida Offers edition 1987-2020 and Robert Frank's Leon of Judah in a couple of these fortunate incursions. Smaller bookstores are good to find books from smaller or independent publishers, work from up-and-coming artists, and artist books. In the case of non-specialized bookstores, which is what I have in my hometown of Porto, I do around about once a month to check what has come out. I don't usually track them online, as they won't probably focus on the products I'm searching for. Now, when I go to Lisbon, which is about once every couple of months, I try and do the rounds and go to my favorite bookstores in Portugal, which are Photobook Corner, which I already talked about in another video, and State. Regarding these places, as they're specialized in photography and their communication is catered to our wants and needs, I also pay attention to their website and their social media, as they usually receive new publications and restock older ones. I also found it helpful to establish a good relation with the store owners for a couple of reasons. First, they will probably like photography like you do, and it's always great to talk with someone that shares the same passion as you. And secondly, as they get to know you, they will know the type of books that you're looking for, and they will keep you posted on new releases or pre-orders, so you won't miss a purchase of that special book that you'll regret not buying. All of what I said applies to places other than Portugal, obviously. You can investigate and discover the best places around you and try to understand the best way to visit them and what is their sales schedule. Also, whenever I go abroad, I do a quick search and a list of the bookstores of interest to visit. For this I use two instruments, good old friend Google and this bookshop guide published in 2023. It's a great directory to know and understand what you can find when you go and visit another country. I see it as a kind of photobook travel guide. These last two instruments are also helpful for another type of physical photobook buying. Whenever you know someone is traveling abroad, you can ask them to do a quick stop in one or two of these stores and get a couple of books for you that you have previously searched in their website if it's in their catalog. This is particularly great to buy out-of-print books that you can only find in certain specialty shops, or to buy books that aren't on sale in your home country or trading zone. In this case, you can save a decent amount of money on shipping and custom taxes. For instance, my parents went recently to London and I asked them to go to Waterstones in Piccadilly and pick up a copy of Stephen Shore's The Nature of Photographs, which I reserved in Portugal through their pick and collect system. And when they went to LA, I asked them to go by Arcana and pick up a couple of books by Jeff Wall, which are currently very hard to find. Last but not least, in the physical buying department, there are a couple of places where you can also find great deals and sometimes unexpected books, which are Bookfairs and used books bookstores. I have bought great books such as Mapplethorpe's catalogue from his exhibition in Serralves for about half the price and Taschen's Edward Weston catalogue for €20, both in mint condition in local book fairs. I have also managed to get Gerardo Castelo Lopes' original and only edition of Perto de Vista, one of Portugal's most important photobooks, at a local used books bookstore for a bargain price, as well as many old exhibition catalogues for cents on the euro. Now that we went through my guide and things to consider when physically buying, let us go through my online procedure. First of all, I keep a nicely organized bookmark system in my browser where I save my photobook buying websites in 3 different search categories. Stores, where I have non-specialized art stores. Bookstores, where I save my favorite or of interest photobook stores. And publishers, where I save my favorite and of interest photobook publishers. This is simple and allows me to know what to prioritize at what moment, saving me time and making me more efficient in my searches. As you can imagine from what I said before, I very rarely go to the store bookmark. Not as rarely, I browse through the publishers, and the higher they are on the list, the more frequent my visit. And my criteria is simple. I'll visit more often if they publish more frequently or if they publish more artists that I follow. Good examples of this are Steidl and MacBooks, which I visit habitually, and Red Hook editions, which I only check once every 3 to 4 months. I also follow a few publishers on social media to keep up with their publishing news and to know when it might be a good time to check their website out of my usual pattern. Finally, the bookstores. Here I have 2 types of bookstores, the physical and the digital. The physical ones, besides the occasional browsing, I use for the travel requests I talked about earlier. This is why, in my particular case, I have a few French bookstores saved. Where everything gets a little bit more interesting is in the online bookstores such as artbooksonline.eu, which may also have a physical location. Not only do they have very complete catalogs that range from older and more general or well-known stuff to recent and special editions, but they also have very interesting sales opportunities very often. As you can see from this quick browse through Artbooks Online page, you have things such as Diane Arbus Untitled and Susan Maisel's Nicaragua at discount prices, which will allow you to significantly enrich your library while saving meaningful amounts of money. Out of all the online stores that I buy from, Artbooks Online is the one I visit more often. But there are others, such as Café Lemits, which also has a physical location and has an amazing catalog and offers different and well-organized buying options considering the condition of the book. As you can see from this example of Paul Graham's Great North Road, which they have as new and signed, and different runs and printings. On a side note, one of my latest purchases from Café Lemits, which is in the EU, was Alex Soth's Gathered Leaves, which is very hard to find except if bought directly from MacBooks, which would have the extra cost of custom charges as rare books bought directly from this publisher are shipped from the UK. Oh, and Martin Parr's Foundation store is also great. They are quick, have a great collection, carefully package everything and, at least in my experience, they send by UPS, which are extremely careful with a parcel and take care of any duties and customs issues. This was, undoubtedly, my best online purchasing experience to date. Before we end this video, I would like to leave you with some extra tips and ideas that I have incorporated in my buying practice and philosophy. First, building a library takes time and is expensive, so we should prioritize and buy wisely. We all know that most photo books are expensive, and we will always have books on our list to buy, so it is important to understand and know what we wouldn't mind owning, what we would like to own, and what we really enjoy reading and would love to have. This will help us prioritize purchases, which will make us cherish our books even more and which will bring our bookcase to life, as we'll be more inclined to pick them up for a read. Secondly, don't focus only on photo books. What I mean by this is if there's a photographer that enters the I wouldn't mind to own or I would like to have a particular book category, but it isn't something that you especially love, maybe it's a good time to consider buying a catalog or a retrospective or a book about his work. This will allow you to have a good enough understanding of their work without going out of your way in expenses. For me, a good example of this is this book of Henri Cartier-Bresson's portraits, or Balanesque, a retrospective on Roger Ballen's work. I like both photographers, and it is important for me to have something of their work, but there are other authors which I prefer and prioritize, such as Alex Soth or Alessandra Sanguinetti. Owning these books of HCB and Ballen are more than enough for now, and for a reasonable price will allow me to get to know their work to a sufficient enough depth. Thirdly, sign up to good newsletters. I know we hate to have our inboxes full of stuff, but some newsletters are great to know when certain sales will happen or to receive some decent discount coupons. One newsletter that I highly recommend everyone subscribing to is Taschen's. They usually have flash or store-wide sales which they announce through their newsletter. You can get amazing and beautifully printed books from great photographers at a fraction of the price. For instance, I have bought Sebastião Salgado's Genesis and Exodus at just under half the price, which for these books is a significant amount. Another thing to consider is where you're buying from, and this is very, very important. If you buy from a place outside your trading area, for example, if you live in the EU and buy from the UK, the US or Japan, you will most likely pay more shipping, are more susceptible to delays, and you will also have to pay duties and custom taxes and deal with those authorities. All of this might seriously increase the cost of your purchase, sometimes by twice as much. And, worst of all, you might be the unfortunate honoree of a customs inspection, which means they will open up your package and possibly damage it. This happened to me when I bought Mike Brody's Polaroid Kid directly from the publisher Stanley Barker during their pre-order campaign. As it came from abroad, it was selected for customs inspection, and they managed to lose the elastic band that comes with it, all while ripping the grey board case where the photos come in. I paid shipping and duties and all to get damaged goods. And the process to file a complaint is so hard and slow, all while not being guaranteed a positive response, that most of the time it's not even worth the bother. In conclusion, in this case, I had to reorder the book from a bookstore in Spain. And let me be perfectly clear, this wasn't Stanley Barker's fault. It was the fault of the customs agents and their poor handling of my package. Still on this topic, check with which carrier service the store works, or even if at an extra cost, you can ask for a different one. This might be very important for your purchasing experience. For instance, my best experiences are with UPS and DHL. They are very careful, have great customer service, and usually take care of the delivery process from start to finish. And this doesn't happen with all carriers. For instance, when I've bought from the US, some sellers used USPS, and when it reaches Portugal, the package is handled by the Portuguese services, CTT, which has had a significant decrease in quality and customer care. There were huge delays by both postal services, which amounted to just over 3 months of wait time, and it was very, very hard to get any answer from anywhere. So if you can choose a company that works well for you and that works in the country of origin and delivery, that's what I recommend. Last but not least, I want to reinforce my first point, which is take your time, buy wisely and sustainably. I take mine and I'm not constantly buying books. I do a lot of research, search for different offers and prices, and I constantly question myself about the necessity of a potential purchase, and more often than not, I end up not buying the book. I am also a photographer, and besides daily expenses, photography gear, subscriptions, consumables, these are all expensive, and we have to prioritize what's really important. All of these experiences and procedures took years to put together. And with life, I have learned to take it easy, to not impulse buy, and slowly but surely invest in what makes me happy. I know this was a long video, but if you're still here, I hope this was helpful in some way and somewhat entertaining. And let me assure you that I will put links in the description to all the stores and publishers, local and abroad, that I talked about and which I usually go to. Again, I would love to know what are your buying best practices and tips, maybe hear about some of your good or not so good experiences while buying photo books, and let me know what you expect or what you'd like to see in this specific series. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on my socials, and see you in the next video.